Guys, a special matinee presentation of War Week Boxing with the incomparable Rick Glazier and as well Thomas Triber on location, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. All this and more of War Week Boxing.
Vashawn Holden presents the living embodiment of the American spirit, my brother, Rick Glazier.
Guys, welcome. Happy Thursday to all of you on this special Thursday edition of War Week Boxing. Guys, we bring gifts. And it's a gift that keeps on giving a conversation with our brother, Rick Glazier. Rick, how you doing, sir?
Good, Joe. Thanks for having me tonight. We got a quick half hour here. Fire away.
Well, I tell you what, brother, we had a lot of things announced and come to fruition this week. We'll start off because I haven't received this yet. What were your thoughts on, because it was a week from, let's see, it's been a week from his last clapback Thursday, right? What were your thoughts when he responded with that brilliant retort? Oscar De La Hoya firing back at Eddie Hearn for trying to make fun of his Clapback Thursday segment.
Well, listen, they don't like each other, and it's pretty obvious. And they are what they are. They're going to do to each other what they're going to do to each other. That's all there is to it. Oscar tries to disappear between shows and go play golf and travel and stuff. But then Eddie comes up with all this wacky shit. Then Oscar responds to it. People act like Oscar starting this up with Eddie. No, it's Eddie with Oscar. So, and then Oscar responds, but it starts out behind the scenes, then it goes public. So that's the way it goes.
Well, let's just face it. It's not just with Oscar now, is it? He seems to have this, run-in with pretty much everyone. You could say he's the Caleb Plant of promoters, getting fights with everybody. But I will say this, at the end of what made the segment so special, at the end, Ryan Garcia comes on, and he flips off Eddie Hearn and gives him a big one-gun salute and says, F you.
That was funny.
Oh,
that was funny.
Now that we bring up Ryan Garcia, what were your thoughts on Devin Haney's empty ultimatum saying that he's got 48 hours to comply and sign with Veda for a rematch? Your thought on Haney, did they bluff way too hard on their weekend?
They're these Haneys think they're running boxing. They don't even run their own house. They barely run their own household. I mean, it's just it's sad. It really is. They're non-players. They put themselves out of business, and now they make themselves look worse by still crying all these months later. 6 months later about a fight that people are trying to forget about. Yeah, it happened. Leave it alone. Move on with your career. They can't move on. I think the kid's mentally shot. I don't think he's shot necessarily from the fight. I think he's mentally shot that a guy beat him and played with him, and he was down 6 times, 3 official knockdowns, 3 unofficial knockdowns, and that's the way it goes. That's all you can say. I mean, they need to move on with their lives, man. No promoter's going to want to do business with these people. going forward. He's not a
Yeah.
big attraction. He's not the
Yep.
big attraction they claim he is.
Hmm.
Okay, he doesn't have a fight friendly style. He can't punch. He's just a guy, and people are realizing that. Listen, whether I said this on another podcast, whether whether or not he was on some kind of steroid that made him fat, made him lose weight, and he was 3 pounds overweight. They paid him 600,000 for the 3 pounds. That performance that performance enhancing drug was not landing that left hook. Okay, believe me, it was the human being that couldn't get out of the way.
Yeah, I think it's I think that's become the going ongoing sentiment from the overwhelming majority of fight fans. I think they were too aggressive with their, the victim role, Rick, and I think it really, I think it's really come
They
back and bit them in the
they
rear end in
they
a very resounding
they,
way.
they weren't a victim. They made themselves to be a victim. He lost a fight. It was overturned. Move fucking on.
That's it.
They don't get. That's why fighters have outside people that advise them, not necessarily too close to the situation. A guy who can read the room, okay, and read the world, okay,
Yep.
and what what they're reading? They're listening to a fucking lawyer.
Yep.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Who more than likely doesn't know shit about boxing or is just looking for another handout.
Correct.
So look, so that's pretty much it about the Haney's guys. Like honestly, stick a fork in them unless they humble themselves and fight for their fair market value at this time. Then yeah,
Hmm.
sayonara. Say goodnight.
Yep. Yep.
I can't see them, and honestly, I don't care. Boxing in America has too many of those characters, to be
Yep.
honest, that aren't
Yep.
interested in the health of the sport.
Yep.
They're
You
interested
got it.
in their own self-interests.
Yep.
And there it is. But with that said, talking about someone whose career might be over, Errol Spence and Sebastian Fundora just agreed to terms. And I hear now that it may be on a different main event, a different date than Benavidez Morel.
No, I think they're two. I think they're two different shows. I believe.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. I think I've actually heard that they're two different shows now.
Yeah. Hmm.
So, in your mind, Benavidez versus Morel, is this a good idea to have a standalone
I
time
don't
video
think that
pay-per-view?
I don't think that's a good fight under any circumstances. That's only going to bring in the diehard. It's not going to bring in the general public, and
Yep.
it's not. You're going to have to overpay the fighters to fight each other, and I don't think it's a good. I can't see it being a good investment for the promoter. And I don't think that David Morrell has enough experience in it for a 12-round fight. He's been ending fights too quickly with stiffs, and he hasn't really learned how to be a professional yet. So we'll see. Wait till he's never been in any trouble in the ring professionally because he's been fighting hand-picked guys. Wait till he gets in with a guy that's not hand-picked, and he won't know what to do. So we'll see.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. Absolutely. And that was what I brought up to Coach Ronnie. I'm like, well, the great Don Chargan once told me or taught me, he said, yeah, don't get too high on a prospect until you see how well he can take a shot.
Yeah, yeah.
Till you see how well he reacts from
The
adversity.
expression is, "Let's check those whiskers out." Mhm.
Yep. That's it. That's it. And, that's my only trepidation. But in terms of style, yeah, I really like this style matchup for Ronnie Shields and David Morrell Jr. because Benavidez, let's just face it, his weakness, if he has one, is his footwork. It's
Well,
atrocious.
no. Style wise, it's a good fight for morale. Don't get me wrong, but the experience levels huge eons difference between the two of them.
Yep.
So
That's
you
it.
know,
That's it. Well, we'll see though. It's a great matchup, but yeah, you're right. From a financial perspective, I don't
yep,
understand why they're not putting this in the co-main event
yep.
of Spence versus Fundora. They need
Well,
someone with a bigger marquee
it's
level
probably
that
it's
appeals to the
probably too
mainstream and casual.
expensive. it's too expensive of a co-feature. They can't afford. You can't afford to
Oh
double
my
that fight
gosh.
up.
And these, where do these assholes think the money's going to come from?
I don't know. And good, and it's probably going to be on the old system of the $79, and where the
Jeez.
new pay-per-views are $20 that aren't associated with Al Heyman. So they're really
Oh
going
my
to get.
gosh.
They're going to really feel it.
You know,
You know.
honestly, I'm sick. I hate to say this. I'm sick of these prize fighters who have the sense of entitlement in the American market. I'm
Yeah,
sick of them
I
because
know.
every single one of them. Oh man, I want that bag. We risk our life. You know what, man? Roberto Duran never said shit like that.
No,
Ching Yao,
no.
man. You know this honestly this makes me sick. No wonder we don't get these fights on a regular basis unless it's including Turkey Al Sheikh.
Hmm.
Speaking of which, let's fast forward to today's or this weekend's main event of the evening, and that's going to be Artur Beterbiev facing Dmitry Bivol in a brilliant matchup for all the marbles at 175 pounds. A matchup in which, well, people are predicting will prove to play out to be an instant classic. What say you, my friend? Your initial thoughts on this matchup and the pretty much even money odds on most racing sportsbooks.
Well, if it was 2 years ago, it's not. It's 2 years later. But if it was 2 years ago, I would have said Beterbiev. But he's 40 years old now. He's got a lot of wear on the tires and the legs, which are the legs. And
Mm-hmm.
he is been really prone to injury and has been a little on the inactive side, even though he's the other guy hasn't been active either. But he's been inactive due to injury, and that's really bad because you can't work out when you're injured. So the
Yeah.
other guy at least can work out. And I think that the combination of those two things, his age, the wear and tear in the tires, a lot of amateur fights, and now the injuries. I think I don't like his chances in the fight. Now, if he went out and knocked the guy out, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the other guy won. It's a close fight. But 2 years ago, I would have completely picked. If it would have happened right after he beat Canelo. I would have picked Beterbiev. So,
Yeah.
but now 2 years later, I don't like to fight at all on either side. I'm going to just sit there and take a pass on it and just watch. I can do that. I'm very, very
Yeah.
controlling. I'm a very self-controlling person.
Very good, my friend. I tell you what, I don't think this fight's going to happen because the IBF, well, they may not have other better options at this time. Any bigger money
What's that?
options? But we're going to have one. We're going to have one edition of this, sir.
Hey, we ain't ducking and dodging nobody. It's time for Fact or Fiction.
Yeah, it's your favorite game, Rick. Fact or Fiction, here we go. We're going to start with number 7, sir. Fact or Fiction, Rick, one word can only describe the proposed Martin Bacoli versus Ajit Kabayel, and that's Tim Burr.
Yeah, I don't think the fight's going to happen.
Yep.
If it does, it's a hard fight to pick because you know that Ajit can outbox anybody. He's got a very high ring IQ, but
Yep.
Bacoli's big, strong, and he's pretty agile for a big guy. So I can't really pick a winner in that one either. But I will say if it does, it could be a really good fight. The better the fight is, the better chance of Bacoli of winning. If the uglier the fight, the better chance that Ajit wins.
Yeah, that's very insightful, and I know what you're saying. Honestly, I think the only chance Ajit Kabayel has really is if he keeps him from mid to long range, keeps moving him, and then when he gets inside, he's got to grapple with him, tie him up. Oh, man, just hold on to him for dear life and pray that Kenny Bayless is the referee.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. Here's another fact or fiction for you, Rick. Number 10. The winner of Benavidez versus Morrell will face the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol in Saudi Arabia next year. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. Anything to do with Al Heyman, you can't count on.
Wow. And there it is. There it is. Well, look, Canelo Yeah, it looks like he's not going to be facing Benavidez anytime soon.
No.
So yeah, it's from what I've been hearing, Canelo and Al Heyman are best friends now.
Yeah, good.
He's given him the Floyd Mayweather deal, brother, in which he gets him everything. And that's why Canelo is thanking. I'd like to thank Al Heyman and BBC.
Yeah. Good luck
He's
to
turned
them.
into one of those guys. But there it is. So let's see. What else do we have? Oh gosh, how could I forget? Oh boy, Tank Davis, Lamont Roach announced for December 14th in Houston,
Two guys
Texas.
from the Baltimore, Washington, DMV area, and they're fighting in Houston, Texas. I mean, you can't
Yep.
make this shit up. Seriously.
Yeah.
And you wonder why this boxing has a problem. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, well, once again, that's one of many, but yeah, you're right. That's it's promotions 101. You know, if a hot fight, and let's face it, this isn't a hot matchup. A hot
No.
matchup isn't a hot event unless it's in the right venue.
That's right.
And the least you could do to help this event out is to put it in the DMV area.
Yep.
Reduce tickets, put it in a stadium, maybe FedEx Field, where the Commanders play, the former Redskins.
Well,
Hey,
you can't do it in the middle of winter, bro. It's in January.
Oh shit, I forgot it's December. My apologies. Well, then you'd have to put it where the Wizards play.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's like DMV. That's a huge metropolitan area.
Yep.
They have history in the amateurs. And like there's not Lamont Roach, say what you want about him being a small guy who can't punch. But he's not gonna lay down like Berlanga.
No. Berlanga didn't lay down. Berlanga gave 1,000% of himself. Berlanga won the 11th, the 10th, 11th, and 12th rounds. Remember that.
I had him only winning the 12th, sir.
Well, two of the judges had him winning. So two of the judges had him winning 3 rounds. So there you go.
No shit. Wow. Yeah, if I'm being nice, maybe I could give him 2.
Yeah, but he tried is the point. He didn't. Okay, he tried. He got up. He was knocked down. He got up. I have no problem with his performance. People got to get off. You remember, this is the same guy people were going to thought he was going to get wiped out in 1 or 2 rounds. He goes the distance and everybody complains. The fuck?
No, everyone's not complaining. Quite the contrary. I'm the only one who's complaining, brother.
No. Everybody's been complaining on the internet. Oh, he didn't try. No, you thought he was going to get knocked out 1 or 2 rounds. He goes the distance. Now you're saying you change the narrative. Not you, but everybody changed the narrative. Said, oh, he didn't try. No, but everybody else thought he was going to get knocked out 1 or 2 rounds. Fuck that. I'm wore out from that shit.
Right on, Rick. We love it. We love your candor. I tell you what, let's get your thoughts on the co-main event of the evening on Lamont Roach. Well, hold on. I've got another fact or fiction. One more, sir. I promise. One more. And this is, I really want to get your thoughts on this because there's a lot of misunderstanding here. I think, number 2, sir, Tank Davis is facing Lamont Roach Jr. because he was the only fighter in and around 35 that wasn't demanding a small fortune and was available. Fact or fiction?
I don't know about fact. What you mean by fact or fiction is quite, but let me answer the question as I see it. There was many people that wouldn't take the fight. There was many people that wanted too much money, and they resorted to Lamont Roach.
That's it. That's it. People need to quit saying that this guy is purposely avoiding the best competition. At this point, yeah, Tank needs another name. At this point, his last pay-per-view sales weren't that hot, and he had support in the co-main event, and it wasn't good. He needs a name, guys. They've been looking for a name, but unfortunately, like we stated about Morrell and Benavidez and everyone else in this business in the American market, they all have these delusions of grandeur. Like they think they're worth all at minimum $5 million. Why the hell do they think they're worth that much? What gave them that idea? Is it social media, Rick?
Yeah, it's called entitlement.
Like, guys, to put these things in its proper perspective, think about this. the outside of De La Hoya and outside of Manny Pacquiao and outside of Canelo, aside from those three guys, the highest paid opponent that Floyd Mayweather Jr. ever had, by far, one of the biggest starts this sport has ever seen. The highest payday any one of those guys ever made was $3 million. And that was against Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now these Hammenagers want a minimum $5 million. Like, I couldn't believe it. Haney wanted a minimum $4 million to fight Liam Perro.
Yeah, I know.
You know, once again, when are these assholes going to learn, these promoters and these networks? It's like, look, paying out inflated purses never ends well for the health of the sport because it makes it virtually impossible to put together the best matchups in boxing.
Uh-huh.
That's it. And then if you do, you set a very dangerous precedent. Look at Terrence Crawford right now. Shit. Now let's talk about that, Rick. Yeah, Terrence is reportedly stepping aside because it's a mandated fight between he and Sebastian Fundora for the WBO, and he's stepping aside to allow Errol Spence to fight Sebastian Fundora. Is he doing that because, let's just face it, is there not enough money in that equation to suffice the big expectations of Terrence Crawford?
No, because Turkey would put the money up, right? So that's not an issue for Crawford. So
Very good.
So that's no. But Crawford is trying to get a Canelo fight, and if short of that, it'll be a path of what it'll be a path of whatever. That's what will happen. So, in other words, if he doesn't get Canelo, then he'll revisit the winner of Fondor and Spence. The problem poor Terrence has got is that he's waiting this out, Crawford, and let's see what happens. But if it doesn't, he's going to end up fighting Fondor, and because Spence can't walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time anymore. I mean, I know.
Dude, that's cold, but you know what? That's true.
Yeah.
He's shot.
Yeah. He's what they call, he's not shot. He's gonzo. That's farther than shot.
Oh,
he can't take a punch. He can't take a punch anymore. His legs are gonzo. He's no punch resistance. He's slow as molasses. He looks like a dog taking a piss on a fire hydrant when he tries to throw punches.
Shit.
And he just is terrible. And it's over. Game's over. Game's over.
Oh, Chingao, man, that's terrible. But yeah, guys, look it. That's well. Let's go to our dear friends in the chat before we go and have you answer some questions for them. Jay Will, welcome to the show, sir. And he says, any word, Rick, on who is training Spence and Jermell Charlo?
I have no idea. No, to be honest with you, no offense to the question, but nor did I care.
Well, that is interesting, though. It's definitely not Derek James. He is bye-bye. He'll once again, like me, couldn't stand the sense of entitlement and the arrogance and the less than professional attitude of these guys collectively.
Yep.
And I can't blame him. I can't blame him for stepping away. He's a smart man, Derek James. Here, also from our brother, G Funky Boxing. G Funky, welcome to the show, sir. Says Rick's thoughts on Loma thinking about retirement.
Well, he's 36 years old. He's earned that. Yeah. And, he had 402 amateur fights, 403, something like that. And, these pro fights, all 12 rounders, basically speaking, from his first round fight was a 10, his second round was a 12. And he's had all 10s and 12s his whole career, mostly 12s. And those are grueling fights. And he's fighting bigger guys at 35 than he was at 26 or 30, where he dominated. And it's not easy. So if he retired, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I would like to see him fight again, just for selfish reasons for myself, because I like to watch him so much. But if he retires, I respect that. He knows what his body and his mind is telling him. I don't.
Yeah, look, for the fans and for the health of the sport, I would love to see Tank versus Lomachenko. That's a
Right.
fight that everyone wanted to see when Lomachenko was in his prime. But,
Yep.
Rick, right now, I think it's a very unhealthy fight for Vasyl Lomachenko on a personal level.
Yep.
Because, yeah, he doesn't have anything left to prove, really. And I think he gets smashed because of the style matchup and because of Tank's power.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. He takes 37 is 30. I mean, this kid's 36 years old now. And he's, like I said, got a lot of wear and tear on him. He knows what his mind and body's telling him. And if he doesn't think he can do it anymore, he wants to do it anymore, then retire. That's I got no problem with it, but I really like to see him fight again. But yeah, I'm all for what the kid wants, because he's not
You
shot.
know,
It's not a matter of being shot.
no,
Earl, I'm
he
public
looked
about
great.
Earl. I'm public about Earl shouldn't be fighting because he shouldn't be fighting because
Yeah,
he's
that's
damaged.
right.
The other guy's a current world champion and is not shot.
Indeed. He
Right.
looked great against George Kambosos in that
Right.
that
Mhm.
fight card that featured the worst ring announcer I've ever seen in my life.
My God, was he horrible? Oh my, he
Oh
was
my gosh,
embarrassing.
he announced the wrong winner, dude.
Yeah, I heard the commission fined him big
Yeah,
money.
dude, he announced the wrong fighter.
I know.
You don't do that, man. Now
I
it's
know.
one thing to pronounce a name wrong, and you don't want to do that still. But that was in Australia, quite possibly the worst ring announcer. And once again, I'm very, very grateful and I'm very forgiving because I know how difficult that job is. But that was disgraceful. Now,
I know.
speaking of which, Rick, before we let you go, we're going to welcome to the stage. I go from the worst ring announcer I've ever seen to one of the best. And right now, he is joining us from Saudi Arabia, guys, one of the elite now in terms of boxing, these elite levels events. And right now, he's in Riyadh season, the voice of Riyadh season, the incomparable Double T. Thomas Shriver, how you doing, sir?
Joe, I am fantastic. Greetings from Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Just, really excited to be here and join you today on your show.
Well, I tell you what, we are about to say goodbye because we've got about 30 seconds left with Mr. Rick Glazier. I just wanted to get you an opportunity to come on and say hi to him.
All right.
Hey,
Slick
Thomas,
Rick.
how are you? How you doing, Thomas?
I'm doing good, Rick. I'm doing good. Always enjoy your tweets and all the things that you cover. And man, we go way back, Rick. We go way back. So
yep, we go to back to the America Presents days.
Man,
that was almost that was 30 years ago.
Jesus.
So
Rick, we're getting old, my friend.
almost 30 years. Yeah, they opened up in 96, 97, so it's pretty close to 30 years ago now.
You have a very good memory. That's correct. Yeah, I signed with America Presents in the summer of 97, and I think they were about maybe 6 months into the series at that time with Fox.
Right. Yep. You did a hell of a job.
Rick, I tell you what, Rick, and man, we could spend an entire hour on what went wrong with America Presents and what was right about it. But I love me some Dan the Man Goosen, God rest his soul. But Rick, good luck tonight. I hope your Yankees close out the deal because I don't like the thought of a 6 seed winning it all. So go Yankees.
Yep, and Thomas, enjoy yourself over there. And do you know Lee Eaton?
I was just talking to him at dinner 10 minutes ago.
Well, tell Lee I said hello. Tell him you were talking to me, and tell him I said hello. And Napper. It's Chris Eubanks' manager. You know Napper, big muscular black guy.
Maybe by face. I don't. Yeah, name doesn't ring a bell, but probably
his real name is Elliot, but they call him Napper. So, anyways, so you tell Lee I said hello, okay?
I certainly will. Great to hear your voice again, Rick.
I always hear your voice on Frank's shows. I always listen for you, and you're doing a great job. Congratulations, continued success to you. Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe. So much. Thank you, Thomas. Bye-bye now, guys.
God bless you, Brother Rick. We'll talk to you soon. Guys,
the legend,
and that
Rick
was
Glazier, man, the legend.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, man. Rick, he's got some miles in this business. Anyone who has the stomach and the fortitude to work extensively for Don King back in his heyday. Boy, that takes some doing. That takes some knowledge. That takes some backbone, brother. Because Don was a slave driver, man, especially on his matchmakers, and that's what Rick did with him.
Wow.
Yeah. And you really have to have a keen eye to be a matchmaker in this business, because it's definitely not for the faint of heart, in my opinion. Other than ring announcing and commentating, my friend, that's the toughest job in this business, other than prize fighting.
Absolutely. I was just with the Queensberry matchmaker earlier today, Steve Furness, and I always tell him, you've got the toughest job in boxing. I mean, those guys, they always look like they're walking on eggshells. They're always under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and I don't envy that job.
No. And then someone's a fat ass and doesn't tell anyone and just shows up to the weigh-in 15 pounds over the weight limit or 10 pounds over the weight limit. And then they have to try and scramble and find someone new at a moment's notice. It's not fun. And then you've got to deal with the egos who all think that they're worth. Yeah, they're comparable to, they want to make Floyd Mayweather money. I'm like, oh, geez. It's a tough business. And once again, a lot of matchmakers, and here's the worst part of that job. You get no shine, and all you get is grief. Because if the fighter wins, he gets all the credit, and so does a trainer, right? If they lose, boy, it's always the matchmaker and the trainer.
Man, yeah, that is a tough gig, no doubt.
But I'll tell you what, speaking of tough gigs, brother, you're the Iron Man. You've been working this is a month straight.
It is it's a 1 month international tour for me. It started in London with the Wembley Stadium Riyadh season show. And, for those events, you've got to be there for the full week with all the buildup. And then from there, I did a couple of press conferences for Queensberry. And then we had the Nick Ball fight this past Saturday in Liverpool, where he successfully defended his WBA featherweight championship. That was his first title defense since winning it in Riyadh. And now I've been here for about 5-6 days. So, but not complaining. I know what it's like to sit at home and wish the phone would ring. So I never want to complain about being busy. That's for sure.
No, I tell you what, you deserve it, brother. You deserve all of the assignments and the success that you've been having. Well, not even just lately, just the past several years. You've been killing it, brother. But I will say this. You just hosted the media workout yesterday, and I'll be perfectly honest. It disappointed me. I think that was the least amount of workout I've ever seen in a media workout. Was this by design? What was that all about? Did you have any clue about that? Did you ask? Did anyone tell you?
Well, the fighters are only given a certain amount of time. So there's really only so much that they can do I'm not exactly sure how long, but I think it's in the 5 up to 10 minute range tops. So, some fighters will go in there and make a, effort to actually get some type of workout. And then some guys just figure, hey, I'm just going to go in and just do a little shadow boxing and make an appearance. So, I mean, I could understand your point, but at the same time, it is a little bit understandable that they've got such a little amount of time to do anything. But, we did get to see Beterbiev do some pretty strong. If you saw some of the exercises he was doing.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how he does that with his fingers.
That looks painful. Like, I don't know. I don't know how in the world he does that. But these guys, they look like everybody looks like they're ready to go. Everybody looks like they're in great shape. I didn't see any really big red flags at the media workout. So tomorrow's the weigh-in, and the true test will be when they step on that scale.
Woo! I tell you what, I can't wait. Because there's been a lot of speculation and, boy, a lot of questions surrounding Artur Beterbiev, his age. Well, before we move forward with that, Now, you got the skinny on this because I've always pronounced, and a lot of other people do as well, they pronounce Beterbiev's nickname like if you were to pronounce it in Russian, it'd be Beterbiev. And you stated that his team prefers it to be pronounced a different way. Now, how do you, ring announcer Thomas Driver, how do you pronounce Arthur's name?
Well, when I did his fight against Anthony Yard, we went with Beterbiev. And I've been hearing since then, a lot of people saying Beterbiev, and then a lot of people saying Beterbiev. And so I had a top rank personnel contact his camp, and they said they prefer to use Beterbiev. And so that's what I've been going with, and I think that's what Michael's going to go with for Saturday night. So yeah, it could be a little tricky when you're dealing with some of these foreign fighters and so forth. But yeah, Artur Beterbiev is going to be, I think, what Michael goes with now. He'll be handling the main event weigh-in tomorrow, and then of course the main event on Saturday night. So I won't be saying that name again this week.
Well, you said it today, brother, and it sounded great.
Well, Michael did the main event today.
Oh, that's right. It was the media workout. That's right, brother.
Yeah, the press conference today was Buffer, and then
right.
Yesterday was the media workout. I did say it. That was my last time yesterday.
Yeah, I tell you what were your thoughts? And it's amazing. I can't believe. Now, Eddie Hearn does this I know he does, because look, I'm assuming, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that he's a nice guy. And he wouldn't be this successful, and he wouldn't have these many relationships in his line of work if he weren't. And he wouldn't have as many clients. But let's just face it. Some of the shit, I'll assume that he's just stating this just to try and promote the event. He's a promoter, right?
Right.
And he's very good at it. He's got the gift of the gab, that's for sure. But I will say this.
Oh, yeah.
I was very put off by his comments on saying, well, I think he's just a bit, he's a bit conceited, right? He's, I think that's why he doesn't just say very much. He thinks he's too good for everyone else. Like, why would he say that about a very humble and disciplined and spiritual guy like Artur Beterbiev?
And let's face it, a perfect record. 20-0, all by KO, and world champion. I mean, my God, you cannot have a more flawless professional record. I have no idea. I don't know what kind of interaction he's had with Artur. I could only go by my interactions with Eddie. He's always been very kind and professional with me. I've had very little to any conversation with Beterbiev. But yeah, I know it's a little odd, to think, but these guys, Bivol and Beterbiev, these guys mean business. And remember, English is not their first language. You got to give a little bit of, little slack to somebody whose first language is not English. So perhaps if we were speaking in Russian, they would be a little more talkative.
That's it.
But at that same time, these guys are machines, man. They've been fighting since they were very, very young. It's all they've ever known. And they do the talking in the ring. So I respect that. And I just can't be, I was super excited for Joshua Dubois. I was super excited for Fury Usyk.
Oh yeah.
I was with Michael Buffer today. We drove back to our hotels together today. And I was telling him, I said, it's almost like every show we do here is like a Super Bowl. For boxing fans.
Yep.
Every show, every Riyadh season show, Crawford, Madrimov, these are like Super Bowls. And, not to mention the music performances and the productions and all the added bells and whistles that make it even that much more fun to watch. I just think it's great for the sport of boxing. And I'm very thankful to be a small part of this.
Oh, I tell you what, brother, you are the voice of Riyadh season, and I love it. And I tell you what, this is amazing. I just wish Eddie Hearn would be that humble talking about these fighters, but no, that's his job. He's just trying to stir up feces to get people talking about this
Well, and he
event. And
promotes
he does a
Dmitry
great job.
Bivol, and
Yep.
yeah, I mean, he's playing the promoter role. His fighter is
Yep.
Dmitry Bivol, and promoters have to stand up for their fighters and sell fights.
Yep.
So, but
Yep.
yeah, this is going to be really outstanding on Saturday. I hope everybody listening gets a chance to tune in.
Well, I tell you what, we've got one. We're going to play this game. First of all, hold on. Let me pull it up. I'm sorry I didn't have it in the queue ready to go, but we're going to have one very special Saudi edition of...
Hey, we ain't ducking and dodging nobody. It's time for Fact or Fiction.
Thank you, Floyd, for that kind introduction. Yeah. Yes, and that was really Floyd Mayweather, damn it. You know better than that.
Well, you're a man of 1,000 voices, Joe, so I never really know if it's really them or really you. You fool me so many times.
Oh, that is so kind of you to say, my friend. But hold on. Where's the one that I wanted you to check out? Here it is. Number 4. Artur Beterbiev is Jason, Freddy Krueger, and Pinhead all rolled into one and would make Canelo Alvarez piss his pants. Fact or fiction, my friend?
Oh, I'd have to go with fact. I'd have to go with fact. That's a great one right there, by the way.
Oh, geez. I tell you what, dude, that is... Now, I know fighters, they make a living from being intimidating because, Manuel Stewart used to insist that the majority of this game, the overwhelming majority, is a mental practice, right? It's all mental. And so these fighters make a habit and make a living of being intimidating. But I don't, and we've been around a lot of fighters. I can't think of many 175 pound fighters throughout history more intimidating than Artur Beterbiev. Can you?
He and Bivol just have this certain intimidating factor about them. They're so stone-faced, and you don't see a lot of emotion in the way they speak, especially like you're saying, Beterbiev. I mean, these are some scary guys, and I know they're going to let their fists do the talking on Saturday here in Riyadh.
Oh, gosh. And you know what? We're all going to be the beneficiaries. Once again, we just hope that both guys are 100%. And that's why I was really, disappointed from the lack of media workout. But what you stated made a lot of sense. So thank you for clearing that up. Now, once again, we're not talking about guys who could win. We're talking about guys more intimidating, Graybush. Listening comprehension is a must, my friend. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you being here, supporting Thomas and Rick on this day. This is a troll account, my friend. Hold on, Alberto. Welcome to the show, sir. God bless you, man, and thank you for supporting Thomas on this day. Also, Alonzo Mazing. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for listening.
And he goes, hold on. Oh boy, my brother G Funky Boxing is a huge wrestling fan. Yeah, and he's also in the business, and he knew you were going to be on here. And so he was wondering, and let me get the first part of this question right here. Is Double T up to doing some Howard Finkel? Now get the second part. Hold on. There it is. Coming down the aisle from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Brett, the Hitman Hart. Yep.
I think I could try a little Finkel. It's been a little while. Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. Introducing from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Brett, the Hitman Hart.
Oh my gosh, dude, that is spot on. Holy cow. That is the thing, baby. Woo! Dude, I swear, man, that's like seeing Metallica live and hearing them play Fade to Black or something. That was so cool, dude. The fake. Woo! Long
The
live the
Finkster in
Fink.
the house.
I
Rest
will
in
say
peace.
the Fink still lives, brother. His protege, Thomas
He was great.
Schreiber.
He was great.
He was the very best in my opinion. And that's
Absolutely.
why I love your style and your cadence and your delivery. It's like you're a protege. You've got your own style and you make it your own, but it has that lineage. You can hear it.
Well,
And
I think,
it's a beautiful homage, man.
you know what I think, Joe? I think all of us announcers, we grow up listening to,
Exactly.
we several different announcers, and I think we always pick up certain traits from
Yep.
our favorite announcers, and then you create your own style. But there's going to be some similarities, but for certain, Howard Finkel was the first ring announcer I ever really paid attention to because I became a huge wrestling fan. During
Absolutely.
WrestleMania 1, 2, 3, and he was the voice in the ring.
Yep, he was the voice. I mean, his voice was synonymous with big time wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Like it didn't feel like a big event if he weren't saying scheduled for one pinfall. See, I can't do it. You can. But if you didn't hear that, and if you didn't hear, well, I'll tell you, Jess, here comes the irresistible force against the immovable object. If you didn't hear Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, right, and Finkel, it wasn't a big time wrestling event.
Dude, that was a great Gorilla Monsoon, by the way. Holy cow. Dude,
I love
so
Gorilla,
awesome.
man. God rest his soul as well. And you know what, man? That's, I think, what diehard fans, guys our age, miss most about boxing. And I love that trying to build a new kind of a new tradition in Riyadh season, Saudi Arabia. Is that what Turkey Al-Sheikh, is that his mission statement? Is he trying to build a new home for big time boxing?
Well, I think he's definitely trying to take boxing to a level in a similar way that Vince McMahon did with the WWF when he took over from his father, which, by the way, I can't wait to watch the Netflix documentary series. That's going to be my first thing to do when I get back to the States is to try and watch all those episodes. But, I think he's really trying to do something big for boxing and getting all these promoters who were not working together in the past and bring the boxing fans the fights we all want to see. I mean, this is like Vince picking out top stars from different territories and bringing them to the WWE or WWF at the time and having them wrestle each other, bringing Roddy Piper from the Portland territories, and then bringing Billy Jack Haynes from Oregon, and bringing Hogan from Vern Gagne's AWA, and bringing all these top stars from all these different territories, bringing the Macho Man from Kentucky and Tennessee, and bringing them all to the WWF. It gave wrestling fans the opportunity to see all these top wrestling stars who were only able to wrestle in a territory. Now they were being seen worldwide against all the other top wrestlers from all the other territories that they were unable to wrestle. So Turkey Al-Sheikh is kind of doing the same thing. He's getting all the best fighters from all these different promoters and getting the best fighters to fight the best fighters. So I think that's why this is so super exciting. I'm a boxing fan first and foremost before even being a ring announcer. So I'm loving it.
I tell you what, and guys, this has the makings of an instant classic. A lot like the other Riyadh season event we just saw in May. Fury Usyk didn't disappoint, and I can't wait till December 21st. You're going to be a part of that one as well. But that has the makings. This one this Saturday has the makings of playing out in that manner. Well, we'll see high drama because it's high stakes. It's for all the marbles. It's called the Four Crowns event, right?
Four Crown Showdown. That's right.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? The trailer is just absolutely fitting. When I first saw that trailer for Beterbiev and Bivol, I'm like, yeah, they couldn't have made any other trailer for this event.
I mean, it's
Both
straight
guys
out
look
of
like both guys look like they
Hollywood.
just escaped from the gulag, didn't they?
Yeah, just it just like I said, the extra bells and whistles, it just builds that anticipation, and it just makes it a lot more fun. That's why I used to love the HBO documentaries and things like that, where they would follow around the fighter and see the behind the scenes and see the stuff we don't see typically as boxing fans. So I'm just loving all the bells and whistles that are being added with these Riyadh season events.
Well, I tell you what, I'm sure you're loving it as well, because one of both of our influences, right? Growing up, coming into this business, you've been speaking a lot with and spending a lot of time with, and you just finished spending time with him, and that's legendary voice of boxing, Michael Buffer. Now, he is a fight fan through and through as well, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
got to be looking. What did he tell you about this event, sir?
Well, he's super excited for this fight, and if anybody watched the press conference today, he brought up the fact that this is only, there's only been like 3 undisputed light heavyweight champions in like the past 50 years. I mean,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's truly incredible. And it's been almost like 25 years since Roy Jones.
Yeah. Well, let's just face it.
No champion.
Yeah, let's just face it. Even when he was undisputed, even when he was the moneymaker at 47 or at 75, no one wanted to fight Superman in his prime. That was a
he was an avoided
problem.
man. And so it's really history in the making on this Saturday, because it's such a rare thing. I mean, when you think about that, there's only been like 3 undisputed light heavyweight champions in the past 50 years.
Amazing.
That's really incredible. So yeah, I love Michael. Really does his research, and he's such a great historian, and the knowledge he has is just remarkable. I always love having conversations with him about boxing, and especially from years before I was a boxing fan, and hearing about all these different fighters. And just a great guy, super funny guy. He was doing Jerry Lewis voice in the car today. You talk about impressions, by the way. Oh, Buffer can do some impressions that would blow your socks off.
I can't imagine him doing the goof Jerry Lewis. Maybe the Nutty Professor version.
To a T. I mean, to
really?
a T. It's insane.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, remarkable. So yeah, he can do some voices, and
that's amazing.
I feel the great thing about these Riyadh season shows is getting to work with Michael on these shows. And because we're here for several days, it's given us a chance to be around each other more than in the past, when I would just do an undercard for HBO, where maybe I would just see him for a few minutes. So really, really thankful to be working with Michael, who is just the best ever at ring announcing, in my opinion.
Absolutely. He's a legend. He's a legend of this business. And let's just face it, that catchphrase really put boxing, it almost like it triggered something in the mainstream and casuals and made them feel like they were part of a special event. It sounded like, in the immortal words of Emmanuel Stewart, welcome to big time boxing. And it almost sounded like big time boxing, right? When you heard, let's get ready to rumble.
There's just nobody who doesn't know that saying. You can go up to anybody on the street and say, hey, you ever heard, let's get ready to rumble? Oh, yeah. And maybe not everybody knows his name, but they'll know his face. They'll know that saying. So he really took it to a whole other level with the ring announcing, and he parlayed it into the big screen, and he's made appearances with all kinds of different sports using his line. And just a real honor to call Michael a friend and be working with him with these Riyadh season shows.
Now, from what I've been told and from what I've heard, and don't flog me for this, Thomas, but from what I've heard, your accommodations as well as Michael's, they're not too bad.
I'll tell you what.
Tell us about the the accommodations at Riyadh season and Turkey Al Sheikh taking care of all of his people?
Well, the hotels here are really top of the line, and the rooms here are really, really, nice. I mean, I'll just say it. I mean, the nicest hotels I've ever stayed at in my life, to be honest. I mean,
Amazing.
really, really, everything is done top of the line. And I just, like I said, I'm just thankful to be part of this. And, I used to sleep in my car when I would do shows because I made enough money. I would have to drive 4 or 5 hours to do a show, and I'd make enough to buy a sandwich and fill up my gas tank to be able to drive home. And I would just shut my eyes for a few hours until the sun came up, and I would drive on home. So I never take it for granted when I get to stay, with nice accommodations like this.
I tell you what, I'm sure that's why you're having all the success that you've been receiving lately. Because of your humility, your work ethic, I love it. And also, that voice isn't too bad either, brother. Woo!
I'm trying.
Yeah. Tell you what, brother. Oh, well, hold on. Let's finish reading comments, sir. Here is one. Oh, I can't stand trolls. They eat up way too much space. I'm trying to find there was one that caught my eye. Well done. There it is. Hold on. There it is. It's a fun time for boxing for those who can't let go of the HBO Showtime days. Undisputed Video Game has Riyadh season now. Betting on boxing to his global. Boxing never dies. He had another comment or question for you, though. And I'm trying to find it now. Oh, here it is. Pugilism says, here's a fun, safe play. And this is betting advice from our brother Pugilism. Welcome to the show, and thank you for supporting Thomas. He said $20 on Bivol and 25 on Bivol decision win on 5 on Shingao. Dude, come on. And then he says, that's a pretty damn good Howard Finkel.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it is. I tell you what, it's the best one I've ever heard, man. Geez. And, this is a really good card. But I will say this. You guys, you seem to think, and a lot of people seem to think that you guys, well, Frank Warren may be at risk of losing his first matchup to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Sports on this card. And that's Raven Chapman versus Sky Nicholson. Your thoughts? Because at the media workout, I thought both women looked strong. Both women looked in shape. Both women are going to show up. But Sky Nicholson, she is a really crafty fighter.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and I'll be honest with you, I have not yet seen her fight. I should do some research on YouTube and take a look at some of her past fights, but I've heard she's outstanding. I've heard it's going to be, a really, good fight and a really good test for Raven Chapman, and they're both in excellent shape. They're both very, very confident. At the press conference today, They both sounded very, very confident in their abilities. I'm really looking for that fight. And it's also a historical moment. The first women's boxing title fight, world title fight in Saudi Arabia. So it's really great that that's happening.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of in shock about that, Thomas. But hey, man, this is 2024. So, look, and I'll be honest, it's been kind of humorous, but it's been a little off-putting as well. Chris Eubank, now, look, he's a funny guy and he's entertaining, and I understand why, once again, he comes from a lineage of boxing greatness, but do you think it may be going a little to his head, Thomas?
Well,
Chris Eubank Jr., I will say this, he is entertaining, though, and he's fighting Camille Zarameta on the undercard of this, and it's going to be good. It's going to be good to see him back in the ring.
Yeah, I think he's been out for about a year or so, and it's for a vacant championship belt. So I'm interested to see how Chris is going to look. He takes care of himself. And yeah, he's a guy he's a real character. He's like his father, you know. He's a very charismatic guy, and he's certainly making it interesting here with the media workout we had yesterday, showing up wearing the traditional Saudi, I think it's called a throbe or something around that, or a throne,
Yeah,
something like
it's
that.
the historic and
And
traditional Saudi Arabian garb. Yep.
yep. And then today, of course, he added a
Yeah.
little bit to that outfit with some type of sword, it looked like. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, Chris Eubank Jr., that's him. He's an outspoken guy. And I'm just looking forward to see what he can do. I'm not familiar with the fighter from Poland, Camille, to see how he's going to do, but hopefully it'll be a good fight. Hopefully, the fans will get to see some, good action in there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tremendous event. And obviously, in the co-main event of the evening is going to be Fabio Wardley versus Fraser Clark. And that's going to be a rematch in a barn burner from their first one was a barn burner. And, traditionally, though, Thomas, if you look back on big time trilogies, most rematches don't play out the same way the first one does. But I don't get that sense when I hear both guys talk. Do you?
Well, I mean, they showed great sportsmanship today at the press conference. They actually got up, and this doesn't happen very often. They had their time to make their statements and have a little back and forth banter, and then they actually got up, Fraser Clark, and they both got up and shook hands and showed great sportsmanship, and then went back to their seats at the press conference. So they obviously have respect for each other. I was actually in the elevator with Fraser Clark, and man, what a big guy! I mean, he's a big guy. I mean, these guys definitely fit in that heavyweight division, and they're both undefeated. Fraser Clark, I think this is even, he's not had any title. He's only 8-0, 1 draw and 6 knockouts. So he's very early in his career. I mean, could one of these two or both be the future of the heavyweight division? I mean, just great to see more heavyweights in that mix.
Yeah, I tell you what, with now I know. So well, look, and we'll this is a perfect segue into Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, because we've had some time to digest that, right? It's been a couple weeks, right?
Yep.
Do you think this is a good idea for Anthony Joshua to be climbing right back into a rematch with Daniel Dynamite Dubois at seemingly the apex of his confidence? And we'll get back to Wardley and Clark after this, but I do have to get your thoughts on this because we haven't spoken to you since, sir.
Yeah, well, that's understandable. But Joshua, when he lost against Andy Ruiz, in the rematch, he was able to redeem himself. And I think he's hoping to do the same with Dubois and redeem himself like he did against Andy Ruiz. And I can't blame him. You think about it, it's like, well, where do you go from there, with the way he lost and everything? It's almost like you have to. It's almost like you have to try and redeem yourself, because that's what everybody's going to remember. So how soon that rematch happens, I'm not certain. But I wouldn't think they're going to wait any more than, 8 months or so, 6 to 8 months. I would think they'd want to, try and make that happen sometime in that time frame.
Yeah, you know what? Geez, you've got to strike while the iron's hot in this racket, right?
Yeah, it's not a wait a year or two scenario, I don't think. So
yeah, but yeah, Anthony Joshua, and this is the one of the shortcomings of having that fighter's mentality, that championship swagger, that confidence. You've got to be brimming, overflowing with confidence to even just step foot in the ring. and then to lose that way in front of all of your fans, they're the largest crowd ever at Wembley Stadium for a sporting event. And then, you know, it's like you're supposed to ride off into the sunset like the Cowboys. No, it's that's really difficult to walk away from that.
And I think that's exactly why he's going to want this rematch. I think that's why Eddie and Frank will probably work something out. It sounds like Dubois is also open to fighting Joshua again. So I think it's pretty. I think as long as these guys stay healthy, and I know fight fans would love to see a rematch as well. I think it's a win-win.
I think it's a win-win for boxing as well, because guys, like him or not, AJ has done a lot for not just heavyweight boxing, but British boxing as well. It's really put it back on the map. Like, you remember Thomas?
What a great resume he has, from
the
Olympics to becoming world champion. You know, real professional in and out of the ring. You know, just a true professional, Anthony Joshua. You know, nice looking guy, very marketable. He's been great for Britain, and I can understand why he has such a great amount of fans.
Indeed. And he's been a great ambassador for the sport of boxing as a whole as well. And look, it's just a shame. Now let's pivot back to, and you said, possibly the future of the heavyweight division in the UK. Do you think Fabio Wardley could be that guy? Because it's 6'5". Yes, he's very imposing, up close and personally now, isn't he?
Both of these guys are just really big guys, and they fit perfectly
like, how do they make
that heavyweight division.
Thomas,
I'm sorry?
How do they make 200 still?
I know. So, I mean, look, they're on this card. Obviously, everyone involved with this event, all the organizers, see something in these guys to put them on this big of a stage like that. So, really looking forward to that fight and that rematch. Someone's has got to go, as they say.
And there it is. I tell you what, guys, and once again, yeah, you're right. Frazier Clark, I didn't realize he was this big. He's 6'6".
Oh, yeah. No, he's
dude.
He is
when
a
have
big
you
dude.
ever seen a 6'6" cruiserweight?
Well, he's heavyweight now. You know, did he start?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. He is heavyweight, isn't he? My apologies.
Yeah, that's a heavyweight fight. Yep.
Okay, that's right. And he's 8-0 with 6 knockouts, 1 draw. And his opponent, Fabio Wardley. Boy, what a great record. 17-0-1 with 16 knockouts. Woo, boy, 2 undefeated bangers, man. This is going to be another great fight. Then we have the return of Jayo Pataya, who, boy, I tell you what, he's looked great, but he's also looked vulnerable enough to be involved in some quality fights. But, you know, 25-0 with 19 knockouts. How impressed have you been with Jayo Pataya? And are you expecting more of the same? And could he be moving up to heavyweight in the near future?
Well, he certainly has the frame and the height to move to the heavyweight division at some point. But at 25-0 and 19 KOs, you know, former Olympian, Australian, I think he's in a great position. He's holding the Ring Magazine Championship. He's now a 2-time IBF Cruiserweight World Champion. And Jack Massey, big kid, 6'4". You know, from Manchester, England, currently has the EBU European and Commonwealth Cruiserweight Championships. I think that's a great fight. I think that's going to be a very interesting matchup there. So pretty excited about every fight on this card on Saturday night.
Indeed.
A lot of great, interesting matchups here.
And we want to thank the good people at DAZN for showing in the entire undercard featuring our brother Thomas Driver. And then, guys, the main event in America will be shown on ESPN. Let's get back to the main event before we let you go. We know it's been a long day for you, Thomas. But let's get back to the main event. Now, once again, I asked Big Rick Glazier. The odds are pretty narrow right now currently. Bivol is viewed as the slight betting favorite at a -150, and Beterbiev is the slight betting underdog at +125. That's virtually even money, right?
Wow.
So who do you like in this? I know you don't like to make predictions because you're the ring announcer, but you're not going to be calling this fight, brother. You're
I'm
going to
not
be calling
calling
every
it.
other fight. So, hey, let's hear your prediction, my friend.
Well, look, I think if you were to ever say a fight is a 50-50 fight, I think this is the prime example of that. I mean, both of these guys have, great skill in there. My gut tells me that if this fight goes the distance, the edge would go to a Bivol. I think if there's a stoppage, it would most likely be Beterbiev. And obviously, by his record of 20-0 with 20 KOs, that's, I'm not revealing any secrets here. But I don't know. I just, man, it's so hard. But, look, Bivol handily beat Canelo. It's hard to bet against a guy that some say schooled Canelo, and Beterbiev is getting a little older. He's coming off an injury. I think if you would maybe give a slight edge to somebody in this incredible matchup, perhaps that would be Bivol. But man, I don't know, Joe. How about yourself? How are you?
I'll be as candid as I possibly can, because I usually don't like making predictions until I see them both at the weigh-in, right? And then when that's completed, I give my sexy bet of the week, as well as my official prediction. But I will say this: my head right now, I agree with you. My head says slight edge to Bivol by unanimous decision.
Wow.
But my heart and my gut tells me Beterbiev with a late round stoppage. Come on, baby. Woo!
Oh, man.
Woo! So I am truly torn in this one, Thomas. And you're right.
I am as well.
Look, here's the thing that makes this such a great fight. And this is why we're all dialed in, guys. And this is what makes boxing so amazing. It is truly the theater of the unexpected. We can't imagine. Can you imagine anyone outboxing or stopping Dmitry Bivol?
No, it's hard to imagine.
And in turn, I can't imagine anyone withstanding the awesome power of Artur Beterbiev. No one has had so far. No one has been able to thus far.
It's really a fascinating matchup. Not only is it for the undisputed light heavyweight championship, but it's two undefeated fighters. The battle of the undefeated, a highly anticipated fight. The original date had to be postponed. So, man, there's so many factors that just make this fight so exciting and so interesting. So I think, it's going to be a great fight. Hopefully nothing crazy happens. And I would just love to see a great
you mean
war
between the
there.
promoters? You mean between the promoters? Because what's not going to happen with these disciplined warriors, right?
Yeah,
funny
I'm not
business
just saying
with these guys.
a fluke injury or anything weird happening that could cause a halt to a fight. I hope it ends in a decisive way. And we shall see, my friend. I'm super excited for it. I hope everybody tunes in. And if you're there in the United States, it's going to be on ESPN Plus, the main event. And then you could, as you just said, Joseph, you could watch the full undercard on DAZN. And then for our listeners in the UK, DAZN, TNT Sports Box Office, or Sky Sports Box Office. So please tune in wherever you are in this world.
What's amazing is I've noticed since the popularity of Anthony Joshua, right? Do you remember how we used to have to search, scour the internet to get UK fights to be able to watch fights overseas?
Yeah, it's really amazing now with technology and YouTube and how quickly fights can be posted. It's just a whole different world nowadays, Joe, since we first got involved in boxing. And I love it. I think it's great that people have access to the fights. And we've had discussions about pay-per-view and how that's affected pay-per-view. But boy, it certainly is a lot of fun to be able to just do a search on YouTube and be able to see pretty much any fight that's happened before.
Yep. I tell you what, that's what pay-per-view, I mean, that's what the internet, that's what its intent was. It was to make the world virtually smaller. Okay? Not to steal fights. Guys, subscribe to both DAZN and ESPN Plus. Always rationalize why you should financially support your beloved boxing, your favorite pastime. And guys, don't forget to support on DAZN Mr. Thomas Triber. He'll be calling all the action on all the prelims, a part of Riyadh season. And look, before you go, brother, I do have to ask you, it's starting to inch closer and closer to the big rematch. Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. Your initial thoughts on this?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another tough one there. I mean, Usyk has been so fantastic. And then when you reflect back on that fight, you saw how good Tyson Fury was doing until he got caught, and the entire fight, changed. So, I mean, look, Tyson Fury's a guy that many people have doubted throughout the years, and he has always shocked people. So I would not be surprised if Tyson Fury has one more fight that he's going to shock the fans, and he can very well possibly win a decision and, beat Usyk in December, which would then lead to a trilogy. And so, yeah, I've always been a Tyson Fury fan. I did his pro debut. I did several of his early fights when he was with Hennessy Sports. My first event ever in the UK was when Tyson Fury made his pro debut in Nottingham. It was our opening fight when Carl Froch fought Jean Pascal at the Trent FM Arena. And then to be able to do many of his early fights, I've always been a big fan of Tyson, and he's a really nice guy, and always treated me very nicely. So I will always root for Tyson Fury, and not only because he's with Queensberry, but I genuinely like him. I consider him a friend, and I would love to see him redeem himself. That's the only loss he's had in his career, and I think if Tyson comes in ready, he can very well beat the smaller man in Usyk and pull a decision win, or maybe even get a stoppage. Who knows? So really looking forward to that one. That'll be a phenomenal way to end the year.
Yes. And then it was just announced on the co-main event, Sergey Bohachuk versus former titleist Israel Madrimov. Wow. And what a style matchup. Now, this is when you do your best Gorilla Monsoon voice, and it's the irresistible force against the immutable object, Jess. Dude, that's amazing. Like, this is like peanut butter and jelly.
Oh,
this
man.
may even steal. Well, I can't imagine anything stealing the show from the main event, but this is a great, very fitting co-main.
Like I said, every one of these Riyadh season shows is like a Super Bowl for boxing fans. I mean, who could not embrace these incredible fights? So I thank you very much for having me on, Joe, and I thank everyone who listened in and commented here today. And I'm very thankful to be in the position I'm in here and be part of this great event on Saturday.
I tell you what, it's amped up to first class with you calling the action, my friend. I tell you what, guys, on behalf of the real Rick Glazier and on behalf of the always classy Double T, Thomas Triber, I'm Joseph Herron. You've been listening to War Week Boxing. Have a great evening, everybody.
Rod Vachon Holdings proudly presents Warweek Radio Chats with ring announcer Joseph Herring